Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really profound American story, one that honestly almost always gets buried under the frantic daily news cycle. We're going to explore the real-world, data-driven impact of American Muslims. We're stepping way beyond the flashy mainstream headlines to uncover the real people, the demographics, and the tangible community contributions that are literally reshaping the United States every single day.
Take a second right now and just ask yourself, what really comes to mind when you flip on the evening news? If your only exposure to American Muslims comes from those mainstream broadcasts, well, you're probably getting a pretty narrow, often highly polarized story. But here's the reality check. Outside that newsroom bubble, there are millions of Muslim Americans actively shaping our local economies. They're advancing modern medicine, creating breathtaking art, and defining public policy. There is a massive, massive gap between the headline-driven narrative and the actual lived reality on the ground.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand the true footprint of this demographic, we'll be exploring four key areas today. First, driving the American economy. Second, civic duty and representation. Third, charity and food security. And finally, we'll bring it all together in the American Muslim tapestry.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, driving the American economy, focusing on professional impact and innovation. Now, to really grasp the sheer scale of this impact, we kind of have to start with a macro statistic just to set our baseline. Muslims make up roughly 1% of the United States population, okay? Just 1%. I want you to keep that number in the back of your mind because it makes the scale of their economic footprint so much more mind-blowing.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the striking contrast. Remember that 1% national figure? Well, in states like Michigan, Muslim doctors account for over 15% of the entire physician workforce. 15%! That is a massive overrepresentation in a vital, literally life-saving industry. It just goes to show that in absolutely critical sectors, like healthcare, this community's impact totally eclipses its baseline population size.
And you know what? That outsized footprint extends way beyond the walls of our hospitals. We're seeing major, game-changing innovations out in Silicon Valley with tech founders, plus massive grassroots impacts in local commerce. We're talking everyday small businesses, everything from rapidly expanding halal food chains to cutting-edge tech startups, generating literally billions of dollars in economic activity every single year. It's this powerful, dynamic engine of job creation and economic growth operating right in our own backyards.
Moving right along to Section 2, civic duty and representation, shaping public policy and grassroots action.
So, political participation within the Muslim American community has seriously surged in recent elections, and the fascinating thing is, it's happening at every single level. Up on the national stage, figures like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Andre Carson represent a rapidly evolving and diverse political landscape in Congress. But honestly, civic duty extends so much further than high-profile political office. The real momentum, that happens right on the ground. Grassroots organizations are out there constantly doing the heavy lifting, vital voter registration drives, protecting civil rights, stepping up to serve on local school boards, and doing all that necessary community outreach that really keeps our local democracies humming.
Which brings us to Section 3, charity and food security, focusing on nationwide humanitarian relief.
To really unpack this, we need to define a foundational concept. So the crucial point is understanding zakat. Now, zakat is a core pillar of Islam, and it is entirely centered on charitable giving. When you take this religiously mandated practice and weave it into the American context, it basically acts as this massive, unstoppable engine for domestic philanthropy and community relief.
And what's truly beautiful here is seeing how that faith translates into large-scale, tangible humanitarian relief. And the key takeaway? It's all about universal care. The resources generated by zakat fund nationwide campaigns. We're talking putting mobile health clinics on the road and supporting charity drives that are designed to protect and uplift any underserved community member who needs a hand, absolutely regardless of their own faith.
Let's look at the specific real-world impact of major organizations out there, like ICNA Relief and Islamic Relief USA. Because we aren't just talking about abstract charity here, right? We are talking about literal boots on the ground during nationwide disaster relief efforts. We're talking about massive winter clothing campaigns to keep families warm when temperatures drop, and providing free, high-quality medical care directly to low-income neighborhoods. These organizations are stepping up every single day to provide essential services and critical food security to our most vulnerable populations.
And that leads us to our final stop, Section 4, the American Muslim tapestry, a diverse and strengthening force.
If there is just one fundamental takeaway you grab from our exploration today, it has to be this. The American Muslim identity is absolutely not a monolith. It's this incredibly rich tapestry of different cultural backgrounds, a vast array of professions, and deep systemic contributions to society. Whether it's the doctor treating you in the ER, the tech entrepreneur down the street, or the volunteer handing out hot meals after a major storm, these diverse contributions fundamentally strengthen the broader, shared society we all call home.
So, looking beyond the flashy headlines and actually diving into the hard numbers, I want to turn this over to you. What aspect of this story really stood out to you the most today? Was it that massive economic footprint, the recent surge in civic action, or maybe the sheer scale of the charitable work? Think about how these facts challenge the narratives we're fed every single day. Drop your thoughts down below because I'd honestly love to hear your perspective on this. And hey, if you enjoyed breaking down the real data behind the headlines with us today, make sure to subscribe for more in-depth analyses just like this one. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.